Well, I bought a new truck. Well, it's technically not a new truck, it's new to me. It's a 2015 F150. I know you're probably not interested in trucks, that's not really what our channel is about, but car guys need trucks too, especially when you own a Subaru that goes to the track, you're gonna break it a lot, so you need something to tow it with. It's also nice because you can keep a lot of camera gear in the back and in the bed, and it's very reliable for us to take on these cross-country shoots where we go out and film things, in California all the time. So I wanted to have something super reliable, which is why I opted for the 5-liter Coyote V8 motor in this F150, but that's not the point of this video. In this video, I want to talk about the 2 most important things that you should do after you buy a new used vehicle, other than the obvious inspection, paperwork, insurance, all that. The first most important thing that you should do is get your car clean. Get it protected because your paint is exposed to all sorts of the elements and you're gonna be driving it a ton. So you wanna make sure that the paint is clean, and then you wanna make sure that you protect the paint so that you're not gonna get any rock chips or anything like that. So naturally, I brought this to Automotive Aesthetic.
The first thing that I recommend with getting a new vehicle is first cleaning it up. Spending some time really cleaning it. So with Ben just picking this up, we want to start his ownership off fresh. We want to start it off on the right note. We want to get the car back to really clean, and then we want to polish it and then protect it. First step, get it clean. Show the car that you care about it. Show the people that are going to be working on it and around it that you care about it. Dude, this is a nice truck. This isn't even a piece of truck. So the first step is decontamination. The first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna wash the car, we're gonna clay bar the car, we're gonna remove all the road tar, we're gonna remove all the, every piece of contamination that is up in those wheel wells. We're gonna figure out, go through, clean out the door jambs, clean all that kind of stuff up. And really what that's gonna do is we're gonna be able to kind of see what condition the paint's in at that point. Once we inspect it and we can see, realistically we can kind of tell without washing it that it's gonna require some work to polish the paint back. There's a good amount of swirl marks. Tuxedo black. Yeah. The only, one of the good things I think Ford paint's pretty soft. Engine bay is one area that we're gonna focus on. One thing that I do want to stress here, this truck, it does get wet. It is something that, yes, when we're cleaning an engine bay, we do take care to not, directly force water in like an intake or like and go directly at the battery and the battery terminals and wiring and the alternator and stuff like that. But this truck was designed, modern vehicles are designed for the engines to get wet. That's the reality. If you're going 70 miles an hour down the highway and it's pouring, then it's gonna get wet. We do take proper precautions, but this is fine. Don't get on our go through and do a really good cleaning on the interior. It's something that is, when a car's got 90,000 miles on it, somebody spent a lot of time in there, so we want to make sure that, there's no skin and oils and stuff like that from the previous owner.
Next, Automotive Aesthetic will clay bar the entire truck to make sure it's completely decontaminated from any dirt or road debris. If there's any dirt left on the surface, this could cause a sandpaper effect when they start polishing the paint. Thankfully, Automotive Aesthetic is very thorough.
After we decontaminate it, we're gonna move it over to the polishing bay. We're gonna start, we're gonna wipe it down with some alcohol, see what the state of the paint is in, the raw paint. We're gonna start polishing it. Probably gonna need 2 or 3 stages of correction here. Black is something that we're gonna go through and we're gonna level the defects first, After that, we're gonna come back and refine it. Black's something that you can't really speed things up. It's something that it takes a lot more time to deal with black paint. It's like sanding down a wooden table for your dining room. You're gonna hit it with 50 grit, 100 grit, 200 grit, 500 grit, 1,000 grit to make that thing really smooth. Same thing with paint, and black especially. It's gonna take a couple steps to really refine it and give you a good finish, a good swirl-free finish that's properly, finished down.
You might not think that polishing makes that much difference, but you'd be wrong. Swirl marks can change the entire look of a vehicle. Just take a look at this before and after. Paint correction is a time-consuming process. Steven and Brian spent several days on the truck to get the paint leveled out and looking good. And while they were doing that, Daniel noticed a few rock chips on the front end that needed to be touched up. It's all these little details that, together, can make all the difference. After 3 stages of paint correction, the truck is now ready for a ceramic coating to protect that shiny mirror finish. We're using Modesta BC08, which is their entry-level ceramic coating. With proper maintenance, it should protect the truck for about 2 to 3 years. It's applied to the paint wet, and as it's wiped onto the paint, it creates a rainbow color on the surface, which is then wiped off after a few minutes. This will create a strong bond to the paint that will protect it from all the miles that this truck will see. After the coating is applied, it needs an infrared cure. Each panel gets 50 to 60 degrees Celsius for about 15 minutes. After that, the truck will sit to cure for 24 hours. The truck came out looking amazing. Automotive Aesthetic did a great job. And after detailing the truck, the second thing that you should do after buying a new used vehicle is maintenance.
My name is Travis Garza, and I run Mack Motorsports. As we know, Ben got this new truck, and he's looking to do some basic maintenance items. General oil changes and transmission service, coolant lines, things that typically go bad. This truck has right at 93,000 miles. As you know, Ben does a lot of traveling around the country, and with that, towing different vehicles and going to different events, and probably going to put quite a bit of miles. I would say in the next year or two, could easily put 100,000 miles on this truck, and he wants to be prepared that all of the basic items are taken care of. We do have a DynoJet 224X in the shop, and we are able to get before and after numbers when we do upgrades and changes to vehicles to see how they affected the car and see where there's issues.
We're going to dyno my truck before we do any maintenance items. That way we'll be able to see any performance gains picked up from freshening up the motor. But most importantly, we'll be able to see if the engine is running more healthy.
Today we were able to do a baseline number on Ben's truck to see where we're at before we go in and do all the modifications and basic maintenance to see if we're able to pick up any power, any lost power. With many miles on a motor, you tend to lose things over time. So with all the fluid changes and the upgrades that we're going to make to refreshen the vehicle, I think it's going to really potentially improve what we started with.
We did a couple pulls on the dyno and averaged about 290 wheel horsepower and 309 wheel torque on this hot Florida day. Hopefully, we'll see that number go up after all the maintenance items.
We're going to be doing a full transmission service, front and rear differential service, replacing the automatic transmission filter. We're going to be changing the coolant, we're going to be changing the spark plugs, air filter, coolant hoses, belts, and as well as doing an oil change. The combination of all these different things should make quite a bit of a change in how the vehicle runs and responds. fluids that we'll be using today will all be Motorcraft brand. Ben is a very advocate of using OEM products on vehicles that he has to have reliability out of and wants to make sure that he can continue that. This vehicle was very well maintained before he purchased it by Ford, and he wants to continue that process through the life of its vehicle.
I legitimately actually want to throw up right now.
All right, so these are the old pads that came off the truck, and you can tell they've seen better days. So these are the Power Stop Extreme. This is going to be a lot more contact on the rotor, which is going to cause a lot more friction, which is going to cause a lot more stopping. So yeah, let's go ahead and slap these bad boys on. After a majority of the maintenance was done, it was now time to strap the truck back down for another dyno pull and see if we've gained any horsepower from just maintenance items.
So we lost overall peak horsepower, but while we lost peak horsepower, we gained all this power under the curve, which is a big difference. So as you can see here, when the converter unlocked, it actually was a lot sooner and higher, and we were able to keep that power all the way to about 4,500 RPMs, about 4,700 RPMs when it started falling off. Now, my personal theory is with the 87 fuel that's in it, that with the spark plugs and everything being new and everything else that's been freshened up, it's able to react sooner, and it's probably pulling timing a little bit. The conditions are just about the same. Humidity is the same. We picked up a little bit of torque overall. We went up about 5 pounds of torque. Tomorrow we're going to come back and we're going to run it on E85 and see if we're able to get some better power out of it. You know, 87 is great for going on trips and getting good gas mileage, but you know, if you're trying to make power, you got to put good fuel.
The next morning, I filled up the truck with E85, since this truck is flex fuel, to see what more power gains we can make. With the E85 and all of the maintenance items, this truck made 319 wheel horsepower and 338 foot-pounds of torque. Most of that power gain was because of the E85, but even with the dyno pulls last night, we could visually see that the engine was much healthier and happier. It's amazing to see what just a little bit of proper maintenance can do for extending the life and efficiency of a vehicle. So there you have it. The two main things that you should do after buying a new used vehicle is cleaning and protecting the paint and doing all of the maintenance items required. I've already put 7,000 miles on this truck since I bought it 1 month ago. But I'm confident that it'll last at least 80,000 more miles before any problems might arise, which, the way I drive, should take me about a year.